Well, welcome to this episode of AI Chefs. Welcome, Chef David. Nice to have you in the kitchen again.
Good to see you, Chef.
And of course, this is our first episode for 2025. And,
Yes.
we're excited to be back in the AI Chef's kitchen. I think it's going to be maybe an agentic year, but let's dive into our wonderful recipes. And once again, if you're just joining us for the first time, recipes for us are tips and tricks that help you make the most out of AI. So,
We're gonna
David, over to you.
Thank you. We're gonna have to have a whole discussion about the word agentic because there's debate on link. Some of our friends are getting hot and heavy about that, but we'll save that for another show. My recipe for today is the red velvet red flag cake.
Oh,
Yes, and so
okay.
first I have a little bit of a red velvet story. I was thinking about for the show just if we kind of kept the food stories short and just went right to the tips, but then I realized I'm watching a real episode. I love the food stories, and viewers, if you really don't want to hear the food stuff, you can use the YouTube chapters to go right to the tip. But I do have a food story with red velvet because I made a full 180 on, or actually a full 360 on this because when I remember it's one of those memories from my childhood. My first experience with red velvet cake, I was at some event like a wedding. I remember I was dressed up. I'm a little tiny little David in a suit with a tie and everything. And the dance floor and everyone look how cute he is. And someone said, "Hey, you would like this, David. Try this red velvet cake."
Okay.
And I had never seen it before. And it looked like something out of a Disney movie. It's this bright red, and I thought I wouldn't like it because I had kid taste. I wasn't like a picky kid, but I'm a kid. I like chocolate cake. That looked like an adult, like it would have some sort of weird adult taste.
Right,
I'm like, no,
right.
try it. You like it. And I tried it. And it was fantastic and delicious and magical. And I loved it. And it's not something I think about every day, but whenever and it seems special because you never have red velvet cake around the house. It's always at a event.
Right.
Magical Disney special red velvet cake. And then as an adult, at some point I learned it's chocolate cake with red food coloring, and oh, the magic's gone.
Oh,
Oh, it's
no.
so sad. It's just. Was what is that special taste? What was that special flavor? Because I knew it was something I liked, but I couldn't put my what is that flavor? It's chocolate. But then recently, I went back to it. I'm like, is it really just chocolate cake? No, it's not. It's got buttermilk in it. It's got a little bit of vinegar to get a little bit of tanginess. It's got vanilla, which really complicates the flavor. It
Right.
is special. It is magical, and yes, it's just red food coloring, but still. So I've come fully around. My love of red velvet is renewed, and I feel whole again.
Oh, there. It's good. That was a story. It had a story arc. It was very depressing at one point, but then it ended on a high. So
Right.
well, well done, chef.
See, that's why we're keeping those stories in the show here.
Yeah.
But so let's get on to our tip, and it's the red flag part of the red velvet red flag cake. And
Okay.
I came across a problem. I was working on a document. It was kind of a salesy proposal I'm sending to a potential client, and I wanted a reality check on it. If I had a partner, I would say, "Hey, look at this and tell me if it's okay. Is it over the top?
Right.
If it's and I don't want to show it to ChatGPT because I know what ChatGPT is going to say. David, not only is this document great, but wow, do you look handsome today? I mean, I want real help, and I could ask for pros and cons, but I think it kind of knows
Right.
what I'm looking for, and the cons are sort of helpful. So what I said is, hey, I know you're going to say this is a good doc. Just are there any red flags? Give me any. Are there any red
Oh, okay.
flags? And I thought I would have to say, give me red flags. If I say, are there any red flags? Like, no, there's no red flags. You're amazing. No, it
Right.
knows, it wants to make me happy. It knows that I'm asking for red flags.
Okay.
So it'll find red flags and give them to you. And by the way, quick shout out to Zoom because Zoom deserves it here.
Hmm.
I did this with Zoom AI Companion. So I didn't have to take my document and paste it into what if I was using I still love ChatGPT. Nothing I
Right.
can't say anything bad about my best friend ChatGPT. I didn't have to take the document and paste it in and then say, hey, look at this. It was a Zoom doc. So I just said, this doc that I'm looking at right here in this, the panel's right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I said, are there any red flags with this doc? And it said, yeah, here's 5 red flags.
Okay.
And then oh shoot, I forgot. I was going to do we're trying to do something new today.
I know
Uh,
you're going to do a short version.
Right, we're doing the short version. Okay, viewers, we're trying something new. To hey, you know, we record this live. We this is real. We're trying to make some shorts for this for our vertical viewers. So here's the short version of the tip. The short version of the tip is when you want AI to review a document, you can't ask it if it's good because it's going to say it's good, and you can't give it pros and cons. That's helpful, but it's too much. Ask it for red flags. It will find the red flags, and then you use your human brain, which you still need, to look at the red flags. And the thing is, if there are any real red flags, it might find them. It actually might find them. But if you're looking for someone to say, don't worry about this, stock is good, you look at the red flags, and the red flags, you could dismiss them all. You feel comfortable with your doc. So that is our red flag tip of the day. Okay. So David, in the future, edit that out, verticalize it, put it on YouTube. So now the long version of this tip, I actually did use this with a doc. Like I said, it was a salesy doc, and I said, give me the red flags, and the red flags were actually helpful. The first red flag, it said, you're making some assumptions. So, ooh, that's a valid red flag. I don't want to make assumptions with the salesy doc. And here's where the tip gets the long version of the tip. I said, show me where I made the assumptions. And because I didn't want to just take it, and it said over here, over here, over here, over here. And I went through them, and I said, well, that's a valid assumption. I know that. They told me that. Oh, this one, ooh, you know what? I'm going to reword that a little bit. And then I said what the next red flag was. It said you're being too self-promotional. So it's a sales stock. I mean, that's the, I said, I'm not really, okay. So I'm already starting to feel like you're stretching for red flags. This stock's actually okay. This stock, I'm already feeling okay. But I said, where was I too self-promotional? And it gave me the, chapter 2, chapter 3, whatever.
Right.
Paragraph 2, 3. And I reworded some of it. And then when I got to the third red flag, I'm like, this is weak. This is a weak sauce. To get back to cooking, this is a weak sauce red flag. I'm drinking some weak sauce here.
There you go.
I'm not so worried about this document. So when you're looking for a reality check, a validation, someone, is this good? Don't ask ChatGPT or Zoom AI Companion or Copilot, is this document good? It's going to love your document. Ask it for the red flags.
Yeah, that's a great tip. I mean, a real shout out to Zoom Docs, because I think that, you really can use AI right in the doc, right? So that was great. I think that they've done a good job with that. And
one more thing before we move on. A shout out to Copilot. I love Copilot because Copilot gives me free graphics, and I asked it to visualize the AI chefs having our red velvet cake, and look what it gave us.
Oh, wow! I don't know.
Right?
I've gotten a lot younger. If I'm the gentleman on the left,
it's spot on. I described us, and this is what it came up with. So I went back to it and I said, that's very good. Thank you very much. But we're a bit more mature. Can you make us slightly more mature than that?
Oh, now I'm afraid.
And and then it came back with
oh, okay. Well,
it's I could barely tell that.
Grow a beard? I don't know. And
looks a little more like Patrick Kelly.
Yeah, there you go. So, listen, don't try to fill my spot with Patrick Kelly.
No. You're indispensable. But yeah, I just wanted to share our.
Those are great. Those
fun.
Yeah, way to go, Chef. Well done. So, what a fun tip as always. So, there you go. So is it over to me?
Yes. So what do you have for us today?
Okay, so I'm going to do the short version first. So my recipe is, I'm going to call it Data Donut Holes, because I like alliteration, and so that's why I did the Data Donut. So if you think about, I'm visualizing a donut. It's a circle. That's some stuff around, but it's really, the information is at the center, and you don't know what that is. And this came up for me because a colleague was trying to make a recommendation on a movie and couldn't remembered certain things around it. You couldn't do a search. And yet, after our conversation, I took the little nuggets that he told me, I put it into Gemini, and it came up. This was a sci-fi movie that he had watched and enjoyed, and he couldn't remember. And it didn't come up with it initially. And I said, no, hey, this isn't the key thing was the people thought they were on a spaceship, but not on a spaceship. And so I said, hey, this is the key thing. And then it came up with that. So the tip is whether it's in business or in personal, it's like as opposed to search, which you have to actually know some terms that are going to match, it's that with this data donut hole recipe, you can just feed it little nuggets that and they don't have to be super accurate. And AI does a great job of getting you in the ballpark. And then you may need to refine it a bit. But eventually we got to the movie and I sent it to him and he was super happy. And then I've used that for finding books and what have you. So that's the short version of the tip. And now, for those who are interested in watching the full version, let's talk a little bit about donuts, right? Because so here's the thing. Donuts are interesting. It turns out, based on my research, both searching and using AI, donuts didn't necessarily have a hole in them at the beginning. They were kind of like biscuits, right? They were sweet biscuits. They would throw a lump of dough in some boiling oil, and that was the original version of donuts. So they didn't have a donut hole. They weren't circular. And as best as anybody can tell, but this is one of the things that no one knows. There was some ship's captain in 1867 or something that didn't like that the donut didn't cook in the center. And so, according to lore, he created this circular version so that you have more surface area so that it could cook, all evenly. And so, now, other people suggest that maybe the hole was made so you could put it on a stick if you were trying to sell these. And there's some suggestions that with bagels, that's the reason. But the donut hole, so, they don't actually punch out a hole. And so donut holes are very interesting in as much as, so I'm just outside of Toronto. So we have Tim Hortons, which of course we call donut holes, which is kind of the generic term. We call them Timbits. In the U.S., you got Dunkin' Donuts. I believe they call them Munchkins, right? In the UK, they seem to call them donut bites or donut balls. So in different countries, they call them all kinds of different things. But the reality is, and the longer tip is, and when you move it to a business context, it's that you can feed in information that and so for instance, I used Gemini with Google Workspace and Copilot with in Teams BizChat, and you could, for example, say, and I tried this, and it does a decent job and a less than perfect job. It does better with movies and book recommendations, but you could say, hey, someone recommended a restaurant to me. And could you go through my emails? And the restaurant was in Denver, and it's not something that you can easily search for, at least with Outlook search, which you can, those are very exact match, and even then it doesn't always do a great job. But Copilot or Gemini for Google Workspace, if you know just the outer part of the donut, you can get to the information hole and you can get on target. So really that's the recipe. And one last thing that I want to add, because this is the long version, is campfire donuts. I remember I grew up and I did scouts and camping. And if you're ever camping, campfire donuts, here's a real recipe. You get some buttermilk, refrigerated buttermilk dough, a little bit of vegetable oil, you shape it in a circle, you throw it in a cast iron pan on your propane stove or your campfire, you let the embers, die down, throw that in there, and then you have like a paper bag, you throw some, like a cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, you take that off, that donut, that dough that was in the oil, you should use tongs because the oil gets really hot. throw it in that paper bag, shake it in that, cinnamon sugar, and it is the best camping treat that you will ever taste. That campfire donuts, they taste better than any of the fancy donuts that you can ever have because it's, you're kind of outside and
All
everything.
food tastes better when you're camping.
It
All
does.
food
It
tastes
does.
better when you're camping.
So campfire donuts, and that's actually like it only has like I think 3 ingredients, right? So that's a good recipe.
That's
And
similar to funnel cakes. I mean, I don't know if it's a New Jersey thing, but they would be, hot pan of oil, and there'd be a funnel of the dough mixture, and they'd pour it in so it'd come into like a shape, and then coat it with powdered sugar.
there you go.
Mm.
Funnel cakes. Yeah, I think of those as like carnivals and
Yes,
theme parks, right?
fairs.
And yeah, country fairs or town fairs. So you know that's that's the idea. You can use AI as a super search, and really, it's right. If you just know the pieces around, you can really get to that target. It works in a business context, and it also works, in a personal context when you can't remember the movie or the book recommendation.
I've
Um,
been using it. It's the dynamic when you're hanging out with friends and one friend says, "Hey, what's that movie?" and then doesn't give you enough information. Everyone starts throwing
right,
stuff at you. Say, "Hey, what's that movie with that old guy?" and there was something with the car and it was nighttime and everyone's like, David, I can't figure it out from that. And they start throwing French fries at me. Tell me more about the movie. Who was the actor? I can't remember the actor's name, but he was a guy. That's not
right,
helpful. I can't. If you tell that to ChatGPT or Gemini, they'll figure it out for you. They might come back and say, "Hey, give me," like I did one recently. I said, "This is funny," but I said, "There's a song in my head. I can't think of it, but it's a female vocalist, and it makes me feel like I can climb up a mountain and punch a dragon." And it gave
okay,
me a list of
yeah,
10 songs. The song is "Unstoppable" by Sia.
okay,
She's screaming she's unstoppable. And this song, when I listen to it, I'm like, oh, I feel like I could punch a dragon. And that's a crazy description. If I gave it to a friend, they say, David, we're locking you up. You can't talk to us like that. If you say, if you want me to remember a song, tell me who the artist is, tell me what decade it was. Don't tell me it makes you feel like punching a. But I put that into ChatGPT and it gave me a list of 10 strong, empowering. Aretha Franklin was on there. Respect was on
of
there, of course.
course.
It was on there.
Yeah,
So, and I've done it with songs a lot. I have that thing where songs get in my head and I just can't get them. It happens to be all the time. And sometimes years go by, I can't figure it out. And ChatGPT can get them. But movies is good, TV shows, all that stuff. I don't know. Like you said, there's business uses too. We're trying to keep this business
no,
in,
no,
but
no, no.
I've been using it for fun.
No, but and the book that I was trying to remember, um, for years, it's like that song stuck in, whatever. For years, I didn't know what it was, and so this really, this worked. But then in the business context, it did work. When I said, hey, somebody recommended a book and it was about crypto, the evolution of cryptocurrency, and I could have never figured that out, and yet it was able to, figure it out based on the emails. So I absolutely would suggest if you don't have all the answers, you use the, kind of the data donut hole. You give it what you know, and at least it gets you in the ballpark. And there may be some follow up questions and you may get the list of 10. But if you're, then you use your human brain, which, as you say, we still have to employ at least for the next couple of years. Um, then that 10, at least it narrowed it down from like a gazillion songs, right? And you were able to then, kind of go and say, man, this is it, right? So those are this. It's a good way to start 2025. It's both fun and practical, and so thank you very much, Chef. I enjoyed your recipe, and
Yeah.
yeah, and welcome back to the. Well, maybe we'll have to update the 2025 kitchen with since you have great image creating capabilities with AI.
There is a slight update. If you wave your hand behind the salad, it should work now. Like I used ChatGPT to, well, yeah, not there. There you go. The
Oh,
salad is I use ChatGPT to help me in Photoshop to kind of cut out our island and put it in front of us. It's not perfect, but it's better than it was in our last episode. So we're improving.
hey, every year we're going to get better, and that's what all we
Yeah.
can hope for. So thank you very much, Jeff.
And my final thought, this is a great episode to start off the year because we keep hearing the argument of whether AI is hype or reality, and of course it's a lot of both. But both of our examples today were and even if they were fun examples, they were literally things that we could not do without AI. Without AI, I just wouldn't know what that song is. It would be in my head. I wouldn't know what it is. You know, you wouldn't have known what that book is. Uh, it, it there is some reality here that we're showing on a show to show basis of things that AI can do today, that are real. So this is exciting.
Yeah, no, it is. It is, Chef. And the thing is what I'd urge people to do is to try it. Because, if you have something, maybe you're going to stump AI, maybe it doesn't give you the results. Um, but it is like, it does move you in the right direction often. And quite frankly, we were talking about, I use Claude from Anthropic. And it just like it was amazing. It surprised me. It gave me more insights than even I was looking for. So, there are still, misapplications of AI, and that's when people they claim it's overhyped because quite frankly, maybe they don't know how to use it, or they don't experiment enough, or their expectations are out of whack. But AI is delivering some substantial value. And I think through the balance of 2025, we're certainly gonna talk about how you can leverage that value. But I think that more broadly, hopefully, people are going to figure out where they should and where maybe they shouldn't use AI. So as you said, a great episode to start out the year. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you in the next episode.